to say.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think that I took a lot of time, and I didn't expect to, so. I am joyed right now, overjoyed, I should be saying. Sorry, the word escaped me because I'm excited for Rebecca Nagle, who is our visiting artist this month in the Center Gallery. And Rebecca's going to kind of guide us over towards her part of the show so she can talk to us about what she's doing for us.
Well, I thank you all for coming. I really greatly appreciate this. And I just want to piggyback on Luann because what she wrote here basically is a lot of what I'm going to say. Our shows tie together, but in obviously different formats. But the effects that nature had on me personally, especially during COVID, and I think had on a lot of people, it was a very spiritual and emotional experience for me. So with that being said, I don't know if we can all fit into this space, but we most certainly can give it a shot. With collage, and I also enjoy working with pastels. So I usually have two bodies of work going at the same time. But through COVID, I really started to push the boundaries with collage, and as Luann had said, became not a hoarder, but a collector. A collector of all sorts of paper, and especially because we could go outside and walk, I would be picking things up off the ground a lot of times. So, or looking at things, materials that were discarded, such as in these two pieces here, right behind Crystal, correct?
Yes.
I found, and when we get those silicone beads, if we buy a purse or we buy shoes or whatever, what's the best way to utilize that material? And so experimenting and finding the textures that I can create with those. I have friends that drop off old books from their grandparents and such, so I've got collections of old maps and old papers and all sorts of paraphernalia. There's a piece that is over in the left corner that's from an old gum wrapper that I found on the street. A lot of times also I'll take paintings that aren't necessarily working, and after I've stored them away, I'll bring them back out and I'll look at them and I'll chop them up into pieces. I'll just cut the painting up. So the piece that's behind yourself, I created these tiles, and that collage piece was created. So nothing is precious, and everything is collected. And this particular body of work really came out, I live in Gloucester, so I'm influenced by the seaside, but we also love to go up into the mountains. And so every one of these actually has a really deep personal experience. My work always comes from deep down in my heart and my soul. So I usually look at papers everywhere, glue is flying, things are sticking. I come in, people will be like, what's in your hair? And I'm like, some tape. And then they get created as I'm putting things together. The soul of the piece starts to come about. Part of me starts to get engulfed in these pieces. So they're all personal experiences that nature have had on me, whether it's this current, standing in a current and trying to stand still in a current while it's pushing your body, whether it's, the Green Mountains, climbing the Green Mountains. I've had the luxury of being able to travel and seeing a sunrise, no matter where you are in the world. The sun always rises and the sun always goes down at night. And just taking those moments in life to really enjoy that. So really this body of work is just about finding that inner peace for myself and for my family during COVID. I know COVID was tough, but I actually, for the first time, enjoyed the seclusion and the isolation. And when I saw Myra's work, I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm starting to go back to the runaround. And I was like, no, I want to stay in this environment for a little bit longer. So, anyone has any questions?
I actually do.
Okay.
When you're making these pieces that are, reflective of your time in nature, are you making them on site in nature? Like if you're, like at say like the beach in Gloucester where you live, are you like physically there, or is it more of like the recollection of being there?
So a lot of it is memory, and to be honest with you, I did bring a notebook in case anyone wanted to look at it. I do have the first sections. I preferred if you didn't look at that. There's some personal notes in there, but they're just some studies of artists that I was interested in. But I do have a smaller notebook, and I always have it on me. So if I'm sitting at Henry Fitzlane House and I'm looking at these table rocks that they have, I'm looking at the spaces, same as Luann. I'm seeing like spaces and I'm seeing movements, and I just quickly will make a sketch, and I always photograph. Mm-hmm. So I'm always photographing and then just doing quick pencil drawings of the compositions, and then bringing it back, and then just delving into the materials.
It's interesting because memory adds another layer of meaning too, because memory is always, I don't know, there's a perception to it, and it kind of changes over time. Like you can't really keep hold of a memory purely, and sometimes I feel like as you get older, or you remember a certain thing, it always changes a little bit. So I just think that's interesting. So that's another layer.
So for me, my background is in figure skating. I'm a U.S. figure skating official.
Oh wow!
So I've skated my whole entire life and been on a competitive circuit. And so really my first experience to shape, and I think that's why I gravitate towards collage, is doing figures on ice, laying down patterns, and also using my body to create those patterns. So a lot of times when I create, I really do feel it. When I'm cutting the shape of this river, that curve is just a innate connection for me. Mm-hmm. No different than I had the blade on my feet and I go to curve and cut into the ice. It's hard to explain, but when you've done it for so long, that's just there for me. Mm-hmm. So all these different shapes and cutting, and I think patterning, that visual system approach of collage and the grid is just innate in me right now, just from all my training.
I have a question.
Yes.
So where do you collect the things that you collage with, and are they personal in nature, or are they just random?
Most of the time they're random, unless it's a painting that's been cut up. So like that one is an old painting that was cut up and created into tiles. But the majority of my materials come from antique shops. They literally come from the ground. I live in Gloucester, but my studio is in a mecca of trash. I know that sounds awful, but it's in the lot. There's all the lobstermen around. So there's so many remnants of things around. So, you put on gloves, obviously, and you go out and you start picking up gum wrappers, or you start, picking up old tape that was attached to some bottle. And you go, oh, that's a juicy green. And you peel it off. Once again, old paintings, stamps. A lot of just secondhand stores.
So you're foraging.
I'm foraging. I'm like you, I'm hoarding. I've got books and so.
That's awesome.
I mean, there's the other thing that I love to use is, when you get your oranges, the mesh.
Oh yeah.
I use that a lot.
Is the piece behind me, I can't really pivot.
from some fruit.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if that was netting from maybe a fisherman or something, but I have to look at it a little bit closer.
Yeah, overfished.
Yeah.
No, well, in here, all these little strings, delicate little strings are all hand taken from. There's some old placemats. I really am like Luann, except for I don't collect plexi. I go to the secondhand store and find just old books are so juicy, especially like if they've been dumped in the water.
Yeah.
They've got such beautiful.
Yeah. I use some of those materials too, just not this body of work, but my studio's full of it. I know exactly what you're talking about, the studio just being full of it.
I also have a bird nest obsession. I have bird nests all I know. I've got bird nests everywhere. I've got to throw some out. But anyways, any other questions at all? If not, I definitely want to hand it over to Myra.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.